Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to Chronicles of a Crafter. Today we're going to be working on one of these little cute flip-flap folios that I've made on the channel before. I think I've done it several different ways, but today I want to do it together with you guys with accurate measurements and instructions on how to assemble it. So here is one of the folios that I made. This one, they're both slightly different. So these are the two. Okay, they're both slightly different. As I went along, I made mistakes and I corrected my mistakes, and I did a couple of different changes to it to make it better or, you know, different. So this is how the folio works. I have here a little envelope with some note paper inside. It just so happens that the paper matched my envelope. I did not ink this envelope, but you can, and I did on the others. So this is just some writing space here on this side. Once you open it, there's, you know, lots of interesting things to look at. I did some stenciling here, and this is just some collaged paper from a paper pack. Here's another page from that paper pack. Again, same thing. And here is the back cover. So there's lots of flips and flaps to go into this project, as well as some envelopes, pretty paper, and some craft paper. So I'll give you guys the measurements that I used to create this book or folio. I also used a brad here to hold the folio closed together, and I put a brad on the back here, but then I realized that I don't need this one, so it's just decorative. So I just wrap it around like so and tuck my twine underneath the brad a couple of times. Okay, so that's this one. The other one is extremely different, and I think almost better, but no judge. So here's another one. I used pretty butterfly paper, floral prints, and I used a little brad right here. This one is a butterfly. The previous one is an envelope. Can you imagine, like a brad envelope? That is so cool. And on the back is a hand. So on this one is a butterfly brad that's holding the entire thing closed. I did one flap here and a large flap here on the front. And as we go inside the folio, you'll notice a lot of changes. So right here, I placed the envelope on the inside here. And these are those cute tags that we made last week, I think it was, with the masterboard, cutting up our scraps. I'll put that video right up here for you guys if you want to take a look at it. That was probably last week. And here is another envelope. So what I did with these envelopes was made them into pockets instead of just gluing them down flat. I realized that that's wasted space. Like, I can totally tuck some things back there. So there's this. Here's another envelope with my tags in it, again from last week's project. And then I inserted some writing pages. So this is a signature basically, and I inserted this with a staple holding it together. If you want to change out these pages regularly or more often, what you can use is an elastic band. You can just wrap an elastic string around here and then just slide your pages in and out. If you don't have elastic, twine will work. Excuse me, or any kind of embroidery floss, that'll work as well. It'll just be easier to get out with elastic. So yeah, I just cut down some pieces of my faux tea stain and coffee dyed pages and inserted them here into the folio. Back here is some more decorative pages. Here's another section, more decorative pages. And then finally on the back cover, here's another section of those flips and flaps that we talked about. So this is what's holding the book together, is the outer flaps and my twine, right? So I'm just gonna tuck my twine behind my brad, and now it's closed up. Isn't that cute? Okay, so these are the instructions that I'm using. You can use these instructions if you like. You'll have very little waste after you're done if you use my instructions. If you want to go bigger or different sizes, that's perfectly fine also. So let me just show you what I did. I took one sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock craft paper and I folded it in half. So basically scored it at 5.5 and folded it on the horizontal in half. And that would be our center of, whoops. That would be the center of the folio, okay? So I'll just show you what I've done so far. I went ahead and inked a lot of my stuff already so that I'm ready to go, totally prepared. I also went ahead and cut my pages, my pretty paper to size. So here's my center section of that folio. And these are my decorative pages that I'm using on this one. So I went ahead and cut all of my pages down to size, and I'm using non-directional paper. Non-directional single-sided paper is probably the best to use for this project because you don't want to fuss around with the direction of the paper when you're gluing it together and whatnot. Trust me, I've gone through that, especially if you get fixated on like a butterfly facing upside down, but the paper is actually non-directional, so it doesn't matter what direction the butterfly was facing. But I did get a little OCD on my on my butterfly pages. So anyway, this is what I've used so far. This is my first instructions. This is the center folio of the folio. It's just an 8.5 by 11 craft cardstock scored on the horizontal and folded at 5.5. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to move the instructions out of the way because we now have to do some cutting, and I'll just read you the instructions, but here it is. If you want to take a screenshot of it, that's what it is. And there are some basic tools that we're going to need as well. So for this, you'll need a pair of scissors, a scoreboard, a cutting tool, either a guillotine or a paper trimmer is fine, and 1/8 inch small hole punch. So I'm going to be using my crocodile for that to give me that 1/8 inch. It's a very tiny hole punch. And then you need a 1 inch circle punch as well. So here I have my 1 inch circle punch. You'll need a glue stick, liquid glue, either art glitter or Fabri-Tac will work just fine. Craft stock paper, of course, because that's what we're doing here, and then some decorative paper as well, in the copyweight paper, okay? And then you'll need one brad and 15 inches of twine or string and a corner rounder, okay? So let's move on to the cut marks for the other sections of the book, of the folio. I'm going to call this a folio because it's not technically a book unless you add a signature to it, and I'm not adding a signature to this one that we're going to make together right now, but you can. It's easy. And if you look at my hands, I've been inking and playing with stuff all day long. My fingers are gross. So anyway, yeah, this is called crafting, guys. It's so much fun. All right, so next we have our center folio, or our center section of the folio. Next we're going to work on the flaps that goes around this part right here. So you're going to need 2 sheets of 12 by 12 card craft paper, okay, like cardstock craft paper, and you're going to then cut 2 of them. Well, let's start with 1 sheet, okay? You're going to make 2 6 by 8 1/4 cuts. All right, so I'll show you what that looks like right here. These are my 6 by 8 1/4 cuts, and then you're going to score it on the 1/2 inch mark on the vertical. Okay, so you're going to cut 2 of these 6 by 8 1/4 and then score it at the 1/2 inch mark. Again, these are my decorative sheets. I went ahead and cut all of these as well. They're 1/4 inch shorter than the actual paper so that my inking frames up the paper nicely. Okay, so it's 1/4 inch all the way around on that. And I need 4 of those because we're decorating the outside and the inside of all the pages. Okay, so because you have 2 of these, you'll need 4 of these. Same with the center folio, there's 4 sides of it, so you need 4 of those. And I just went ahead and cut everything down and inked it all together already. So that's that. You need 2 6 by 8 1/4 scored at the half mark, okay, on the vertical. Then you're going to need 1 8 1/2 by 3 3/4 craft paper. Okay, so this is now going into the end of that first 12 by 12 sheet. So you're going to cut it down to 8 1/2 by 3 3/4, and this is my decorative pages that I'm going to be using on this section. Okay, now you're going to have 2 more of these 6 by 5 pieces on the second sheet of the cardstock, and you're going to score it here at the half mark as well. I don't think I told you guys you're going to score here at the top at the half mark. I did forget to mention that on this larger one. Okay, so yes, so here we have 2 6 by 5 scored at the half mark. All right, and then once you score it, this will now be a 5 1/2 by 5 sheet of craft paper. And then I went ahead and cut down my pages as well to go both inside and out, so I have 4 sheets for these 2 as well. And as you can tell, I forgot to ink this completely, so that's another step that I have to take on those. Then finally, we're going to have 2 4 by 4 scored at the half mark. So that's what this is, except if you look at my folio, on this one I have 3 of this size 4 by 4, and as well on this one I only have 2. So if you want 3, you can cut for 3, and I can show you how to assemble it with 3. But if you do 2, you just, you know, instead of doing the third one, you just do 2 instead of. Okay, so I'll show you guys exactly what I mean by that. So if you're gonna do 3 of them, the measurements for 3 is 4 by 5 scored at the half, which will leave you with 4 by 4 1/2. Okay, if that makes sense to you guys, let me know down in the comments if you guys have any questions or if this doesn't make any sense to you. But if you, it just basically bear with me, okay? Once we start assembling it, you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so for assembly, again, I need to ink this one, so I'll probably do that in a minute. But for the assembly part of the, and again, here's my paper for that. There's 3 of them. I only have 3 of them. I should have 6, but we'll go ahead and grab some more pages for that. Let's go ahead and assemble just the flaps. Okay, just the flaps. So that was one of the mistakes that I made. I did not follow my own instructions, and which made for a bit of a fiasco on this project. So the thing that I did do, what I did was I glued all of my decorative pages to my craft paper without assembling it, and that's a big no-no. You want to take shortcuts, obviously, like, you know, you don't want to be doing this, working on this project forever, so shortcuts are advised, but this is one of them that you do not want to take a shortcut for. So here is our center section of the folio, and these are our outer flaps. So there's this one and there is this one. Okay, so these 2 are going to wrap around the outside of this center section. But before we do that, we now have to assemble all these other little mini sections that go onto this section. So I'm going to place, let's see, I'm going to place this on the back. I'm going to place these 2 smaller ones on the back as well. I'm going to place this one up here in the front, on the front section, and I'm going to place one of these also on the front section, like so. Okay, so that's basically our front cover of the folio. On the back cover, I'm going to place this one on the bottom here. Okay, and I'm also going to place these two here on this side. Yep. And I will place this one on the inside like so. So just a little bit different than the previous. You can do this however you like. You can assemble it any way you like. Just make sure that you do the assembly before you glue down your decorative paper. I'm going to go ahead and ink the last two pieces of cardstock that I needed to ink, this one and this one, and I'll be back in 2 ticks. So we're going to go ahead and assemble our flaps. I'm just going to I'll tuck this one back over here because that's where it belongs. And we're just going to go ahead and glue down these flaps right here. So get it centered on the page and just add a bead of glue right here. Okay, so I'm using my Fabri-Tac glue. If you want to use art glitter, you certainly can. Fabri-Tac is a silicone non-toxic glue. I wouldn't say it's non-toxic because I really don't know that, although there is a smell that comes from it. So if you're not comfortable using Fabri-Tac, feel free to use art glitter because that also is a permanent glue that will just glue in almost anything down immediately. And here is the other section that I want to glue down. It's going to go right about here, about a let's say 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. So yeah, I'm just going to hold that right here and add a dab of glue right here. Just a little dab will do ya. It's funny, prior to my channel being called, my channel was almost called A Little Dabble Do Ya, before I came up with Chronicles of a Crafter, because I just thought that was just so funny. It was funny to say, A Little Dabble Do Ya. So yeah, there's that. These are gluing in place, and I'll do this next section right here. So again, here is our large 6x8 1/4. I'm going to glue this down. Yes, I'm going to glue this down on the inside right here. I hope you guys can see that. Am I in frame? Yes, I am. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to glue this down right here. And by cutting all your pages ahead of time, you're saving so much time, trust me. You don't want to, you know, go from gluing to now having to go back to measuring and cutting again. So you just basically do all your cuts and clear your desk, and then you can go back to what you were working on, your next steps of the project. So I'm going to assemble these right here near the top, about a 1/4 inch from the top, and these will be my 2 flaps that open like that, you know. So this one will go here, and again, just a little dab of glue right on the edge or somewhere on the craft tab. And this is one of the mistakes that I made, which ended up being okay. I just ended up having to cut a couple of pages extra to cover up the tabs. So that's why we glue our tabs down first, so that once you put your decorative paper on there, it's in the right spot, and it covers up the tab from the opposite side. So I'll place this one matching the previous right here, about a 1/4 inch from the top. So I'll just flip this back and add a dab of glue on here on this tab and fold that over like so. And I'm just using my little clips to keep my tabs down and make sure that that fabric tack grabs. Okay, and then the final piece is this one. This one is a 6x5 sheet, and this will be the back cover like that. Just get it centered, or as centerly as possible, on the bottom, and add a little dab of glue. I usually keep my glue in my glue holder, which keeps it facing down, but I think I've mentioned to you guys before that my craft room has shrunk a little bit. I think I probably mention it every week because I'm so sad about it. But yeah, my craft room is has shrunk down, so a lot of my items that I kept on my desk previously had to move to other locations in the room, so I don't have my glue stand readily available right here. It's over to the right a few feet, so yeah, it's just a work in progress. Things happen. All right, so here's this section right here. Of course, this one is gonna, oh yeah, it flips that way. Okay, yeah, perfect. All right, so that's using 3 of these. Okay, remember this, 3 4x5 inch pieces of craft cardstock. Oh my gosh, that took forever to come out. Okay, so 3 of those 4x5 inch scored at the half. You'll then end up with a 4x4.5 inch piece, and that's what this is by using 3 of them. If you want to do 2 of them, you do 4x4 scored at the half, and you'll end up with a 3.5x4, and that's what I did on this one. I only did 2. Okay, so there's just these 2 back here. This one is the long one and down the middle. Okay, so I'll open them all up and show it to you again at the end. So now that we've got all of our pages assembled except for this centerpiece, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the center section as well. So this is our front flap, so I'm just going to go ahead and place a little bit of glue down this section right here and glue that onto this center craft paper. And I did cut the flap a little bit smaller, so we're going to get that centrally, somewhat centrally on this section. And then I will do the same thing for the other one. This one, it's going to go somewhat centrally right about there. So let's get some glue on here. Okay, so this section will get glued down to this section. Again, somewhat central on the larger center folio piece, and make sure that your fold is accessible. Okay, so I'm just going to clip, I'm just using my little clips here to clip all of this together and until it dries. Okay, so I mean, basically we have a folio. This is exactly what I wanted to create, and that's exactly what we have. Now it's time for us to adhere all of these pretty pages to the center of the folio flaps. So let's just go ahead and do that really quickly because, okay, so here I have my outer section. I want to place this here. Okay, so I'm just going to use, let's use some Scotch Create. I'm going to grab a silicone mat and start gluing. So I may run out of Scotch Create. I think I have another tube somewhere around here, but if that's the case, I will go grab that other tube. Or maybe I'll use my craft bond, which is also an Elmer's glue. This one is Scotch. So, and I just start down here in the lower left corner and work my way around and start sliding it into position wherever I want the page to end up. But starting down here gives you an opportunity to shimmy the page into the right location that you want it in. Alright, so that's that section. On the inside here, I have to decide if I'm going with that. Yeah, I think I am. I think I'm gonna go with the lines. So I did not round the corner on this until I was sure what I wanted to do. So now I have to ink after I've rounded that corner. Okay, so I'm going to add Fabri-Tac onto this section because this is fairly thick paper and it won't wrinkle. If you add liquid glue, either Fabri-Tac or tacky glue or art glitter, it will start to wrinkle your page and cause all kinds of problems. You won't be able to get it down before the page curls. But this is a heavier piece of paper. It's actually an index card that I cut down to fit right in here. So I'm using Fabri-Tac because it's a little bit heavier. So that'll go there and that'll dry lovely. So up here I'm going to go ahead and put in one of my pretty decorative pages. So that's going to go right out here on the outside, right there. I'm going to use Scotch Create for this. I think I have a craft bond glue somewhere available, so I won't have to go far for that one. So again, I just start down here at the bottom left corner, just hold it in place and then start moving your page around to get it to where you want it. Should be about 1/4 of an inch all the way around available. Okay, so there's that, and I have to find something to go at the top on the inside here. Did not do that. Alright, so now that I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and put in one of my pretty papers on the inside of, on the outside of this flap. So just going to glue this down with some glue stick and adhere it to that section. Sometimes my camera, I guess I get a limited amount of time to record. Sometimes the camera stops recording after 30 minutes. So that's why I try to make sure that my videos are about 30 minutes long or just under. Because I don't want it to stop recording on me. So yeah. If you get glue on your project, just let it dry and then you can damp wet it later and wipe it away. Okay, so let's go here on the inside section. I'm gonna place this one here. So yep, just glue and paper, guys, not rocket science. As a matter of fact, I'll just fast forward this all the way through, maybe, so that you guys can just see me gluing in record time because it's like, you know, do you want to watch me glue? Fine, I'll stay. But yeah, this is just my technique of making this folio. Alright, so the last few steps that we have in this project is to glue down our envelopes. I'm using 2 of these envelopes. I think I measure like 3 5/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, so I'm gonna glue down these inside the folio somewhere, and then I'm going to add my brad and my twine to do the closure. Now, if you had used 2 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock craft paper, this is all the remainder paper that you'll have left. It's not really that much waste, except I wrote on one of them the measurements for the optional way to do the project, right? So I'm just going to take one of these that measures about 1 inch, and I'm going to use my circle punch, this guy, my 1-inch circle punch, and I like to open up that little section just so I can see my paper and make sure that it's all covered by the circle, and then just punch that through like so. I'm gonna try to get as much of a collage of flowers on here. Okay, so this is the little piece of paper that I want to use on my brad closure, and I have a pretty little flower brad that I want to use on this as well. So I'm just cleaning up the edges excuse me, from that circle punch, that disaster of a circle punch. And then I have these 2 little circle punches that I'll be using to secure the brad in place. So let me just go ahead and bring in my crocodile. This is the 1/8 inch setting on here that I'll be using to make the hole on both the paper and the decorative, the craft paper and the decorative paper. And then I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac to glue these 2 sections together. So I'm just gluing paper to paper with my Fabri-Tac, and that works out really well. So I'm just gonna decorate that front craft paper with the decorative paper. And then I'm going to push through my my twine. All right, so let me grab the twine. This is what I keep my twine on. It's on a little spool here. You need about 15 inches. You can have less. It's not a big deal. Just keep in mind of how much you'll be needing to wrap around the entire project to close it. And then once you cut that off, you want to stick this through your hole on the little button that we made here for the brad. And from here I will add a bit of Fabri-Tac to hold this down in place, and I will stick the brad through that very same hole right here, and then you just open up the prongs on that and all of it will get glued down with a second circle, 1-inch circle. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit there for a second while I glue this side up. And I'm just gonna put this on top of here to cover up both the brad prongs and the twine end. And I'm gonna put a little pin on here just to hold it shut while it dries. Okay, so that I'm gonna set aside for a moment. Now we're gonna go ahead and glue down our envelope pockets. Now I decided to go with pockets again because I like the look of it and they're useful. So instead of just gluing the envelope flat inside of here, I'm going to make it into a pocket. So I just need to adjust my my envelope a little bit to either one side or the other, and then just try to get it as centrally as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to get it equidistant from one side to the other. And I'm just adding Fabri-Fix or Fabri-Tac glue along the sides, the edges here, to create another one of those envelope pockets like we did on the previous one. So yeah, this does take a little bit of time. It is a time-consuming project, so if you're gonna start it and then not finish it, just be aware of where you left off, where you stopped, because there is math involved. Unfortunately, there's math involved, and we have to you know, really just take our time with cutting the papers to match the flaps and everything else. You just don't want to waste paper or your time by you know, starting the project, stopping the project, and then having to start all over again because of mistakes that can easily be made. I've made them myself. I've made several mistakes on this project already and had to start over, and that's how I ended up with now 3 prototypes. The first 2 you saw, the third one you didn't, and now we're working on our 4th project. So yeah, that just goes to show everyone makes mistakes, and I'm okay with it. Just like that. Oh yeah, just perfect. It's just shy of these 2 flaps right here, which is nice. I like that. Okay, so let's find another location inside here to add. Oh yeah, I can put it. Let's see. I like it here on the inside, so this is where I'll place it, right here. So now I have a pocket on the front cover and on the back cover. Make sure you're gluing the envelope right side up. Unless you want an upside down pocket, that can be done as well. Okay, so here we go. The remainder, the final section here. Okay. All right, and that is that. Let's go ahead and check on our brad closure. Make sure that it is dry. And let's go ahead and get this all buttoned up. Okay, so I'm just going to add my brad closure right here on the front, somewhere centrally, equidistant from one side to the other, and add some Fabri-Tac glue on it and glue it down. Cute little flower brad there. Kind of looks like a bottle top. But yeah, this definitely has to dry before I can wrap it around and tie it in, because the glue is just, you know, so wet right now, and it'll tug on it and pull it in the different directions. But guys, I think we're finally done. Okay, so let me just show you what we did today. Okay, this is the project that we worked on today. Here's our closure. Here's our inside front cover flaps. Okay, there's that. And here's the inside with our little envelope and writing note paper in there. You can definitely add a sheet on top of this and write on it, or you can do it the way that we did on the other one, which was to add a signature here in the middle. So you can totally do that as well, or you can just continuously add pockets and tuck spaces and all kinds of stuff on the inside here. Here's another section with another flap. This is the long flap right there, and here is the back section of the folio with this multiple flaps right there, and another envelope with our writing paper inside, and it's a pocket too, so don't forget, you can always tuck things behind here as well, so you can leave a note or you can tuck a note. Okay, so there's that. And again, our closure is so adorable with this little brad button. I have so many brads in all these different shapes and sizes and cool images and whatnot, and I think what I'll do next week is I'll go over all of my brads. Okay, let's do a brad day. All right, so here was the second prototype that I showed you guys. Again, it's the butterfly one, and this is the one that has the note paper on the inside to create a signature. So here's that long flap right there, and then over here we have a pocket made from an envelope with some writing paper in there. There's another section that you can definitely write on or stencil on or do whatever you like to. Here's another pocket made from an envelope with a couple of cute tags in there that we made last week with some writing paper inside the envelope. Here's our signature, right? So this again is just some faux coffee and tea stain paper, and I just stapled it in. So if you want to remove this, you can pull the staples out. All right, that's very simple to do, or you can use an elastic band tied off in a knot on the inside, and then you can just slide these in and out to replace them once you've filled it up. Here's the back section of the folio. Again, you can do whatever you like back here. And here is our final flap section back here in the back of the folio. So again, I would just tie this up like so, and then hook it onto the little butterfly. This was the original prototype. Okay, again, it has a brad made from an envelope. There's a couple of flaps and another envelope in here, and this one does not have a signature, so it's just pretty interesting paper to look at. Oh, here's the first section, the center, the back, and the final flap section. Okay, with an envelope. All right, guys. Okay, this one I did not turn into a pocket, so we cannot tuck anything behind that envelope. So this one is just an envelope. All right. I think I've played plenty in this room for the day. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm tired. Alright guys, I will definitely talk to y'all in the next video. Don't forget to stay naturally curious. Check out my one link down below, and if you like the content here on this channel, please give it a thumbs up. Alright, leave me a comment as well, and I will definitely talk to you guys in the next one. Stay naturally curious. Bye!